Okay, tell us what you got going on.
Okay. So, you know how, you know how, like, when we look at movies, we look at Harry Potter, or we look at Percy Jackson, or we look at our personal quest of Reiki or magic, spellcraft, intentions. We talk about our hero's journey.
Yes.
We talk about the reflections of our energies.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I wanted to understand what the real version of that was. I was inspired by like the video games, the role playing, and all that other stuff. But I was like, art imitates life.
Hmm.
This has to be built on something real.
I agree.
And so I went on a quest. I devoted my life to discovering and illustrating the magical world, like discovering what it really was and what tied everything together. This unfolded as a 20-year documentary whereby I held to like one absolute artistic discipline. I never set up the photos. So this was actually before iPhone, right? It was like I would only shoot photos of what happened on the quest, the synchronicities. The idea was that I was like an early adopter, or I really understood that our inner reality, the vibrations of our inner reality, have a very real generative effect on our
Hmm.
outer reality.
Yes.
This totally. And I wanted to, so I rode that train all the way. I rode that train that what in the mystic arts, you've heard the phrase the law of correspondence.
Yeah.
How deep does that go?
All the way.
All the way. All the processes are based on that.
Mm.
This is going on in the outer field. I love myself. I'm gonna accept myself. I'm gonna shift this energy. I'm gonna align with the flow. I'm gonna clear my vibration so the outer thing changes. My inquiry was if that was the case, then was there how could I document that journey? Because it was also a journey of understanding the self. We often don't know what's inside of us. We're often unaware.
Yeah. Yeah. We're stuck in our patterns, and those come from things, and most of us don't even have a clue, why do all these bad things keep happening to me? It's, well, unfortunately, we don't want to admit that we have a hand in that, and they're happening to you over and like, sure, some things, um, you know, are inevitable no matter what you do. And then some things are just the cards we're dealt. But for the most part, our everyday moment to moment whatnots are our choice. And we can choose to make different choices and create different habits and different patterns. And, like a video game, you're building that character, you're building your character, and that character can just sit there and do nothing, and then you're not going to level up. Or you can actively go on quests and build it yourself.
Without a doubt. And so what I got into was so when I went on the quest, the absolute devotion of the quest led me to have an authentically mythopoetic life. Like I've lived the real hero's journey. I went to school for magic in the mountains. I did an invocation that brought me like a big ass wolf that was my companion for 10 years. Like instead of a dog, I had this massive wolf named North, right? I met all of these people who are living in the Middle Earth, kind of druidic, bardic, magician, priestess, new Jedi, new galactic, new culture. and also the old cultures.
Hmm.
All of this happened on the synchronicities of my timeline.
Hmm.
This would happen, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And while that was happening, I'm shooting photos because I'm like, I'm going to document the path of correspondence, of the law of correspondence. Like, what are the correspondences in my outer world that are corresponding to my inner world so I can discover the shape of my world?
So tell us about this school in the mountains.
Okay, so I went to a mystery school. I did an apprenticeship in the mountains
Okay.
where we focused on divination. And so on the message, on the quest, I so after I left New York City in 2002 at the beginning of the quest, I had made the decision to live in the real world of magic. So no role-playing games, nothing like that, right? And I wanted to see what that really was and be an explorer in that way. So I went off to Hawaii and I had a number of experiences that led me from New York City to Costa Rica to Hawaii, back to the West Coast, traveling up and down the West Coast, where I ended up running into a group of magicians, like at something I thought was like a fire dancing festival, right? Because I was doing like fire dancing at the time. Turned out to be a whole group of magicians up in the mountains of Santa Cruz doing all this ritual work. And from there, and I mean like not stage magicians, like magicians, like shamans, magicians, like people working with consciousness in
Okay,
a
so magic
ritual
with a
way.
K.
Was it Magic with a K? But at the end of the day, all of that stuff is just branding.
Sure. Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
always just talking about the energies.
Hmm.
And then there's like this layer of branding that goes on, just like intentions, magic with a K, spells, prayers, affirmations, it's all the same thing.
It is. When we're struggling right now, we're having to create a new language to bridge the gap of understanding for people. So, you know,
Agreed.
hmm.
And this is what I envisioned. I envisioned like a media network that actually promoted that language because I saw that it was all about language,
Hmm. Oh yeah,
that it
every
was
bit of it.
all about, right? And that the language of the image and the symbol was what was influencing the people, and as like an American god of language, having that lifestyle, right? Like the book, right? I'm
Hmm.
having this thing where I'm like, right, the language, the story is creating the dream.
Hmm.
So I'm like, what is the true story underneath? Like, what's the real story? The only way to figure out the real story is to witness, you got to read the chapters.
Hmm.
And then you're dealing with like incoherence because it's the nature of the age.
Yeah.
Everybody is. You as feel. I know,
What was
and
that?
you feel me.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
Hmm.
So I don't know if there's anything that you can do about that over there. But yeah, I totally understand. I totally get it. That's exactly more or less my story. I grew up in very religious Bible Belt of the South and very strict Christian upbringing. And I was always fascinated by all of these essentially magic things that they said Jesus could do, and how Jesus had said, anything I can do, you can do.
That is the phrase that so many people miss.
So many people. It's like they didn't even hear it at all. It
Like
didn't
you
hit.
weren't really listening to what Christ was actually saying.
Uh-huh. And then I was that so I stuck with that.
Hmm.
And I just started digging for that and looking for that and anything that pointed me towards also the real magic underneath it all. So, dragons and books and fairies and all of that, because as a kid before the internet, your options were a little limited, especially in a small town that I grew up in. You said when you left New York, did you grow up in New York? Where
I
did you?
did, I didn't grow up in that at all. I grew up in like a very, my father was a maverick businessman, right? And so he was very successful, but he was also very like a kind of very performative dude, very like super expressive, but also kind of like a business genius. So I grew up in a lot of ways, kind of like a modern day New York fairy tale. We had money and there are like these there are like these carriages in New York City that you get in with the horses and the driver and they go around
Yeah.
Central Park,
I've seen them
right?
in other cities. I've never been to New York, but I've seen them at other cities and probably on movies too.
Totally. So it was like I grew up in like your classic dysfunctional family.
You did or
Like
you
in
didn't. Everything was.
did this help with the
It
sound?
helped a lot. It helped a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So what'd you say?
I was just clarifying that you didn't grow up in the dysfunctional family. Everything.
No, no, I did. I grew up in a massively dysfunctional family.
Okay,
And
most people did.
right, totally. No, no, no. And it was just I'm saying that the I grew up in a very like it was like being a prince. It really was, and it was like and that's really what I'm on about in the Mythica is that where is the truth of our stories? So when I went off to the magic school in the mountains, right, I studied with an oracle by the name of LeFay, and it was like the Arthurian mythos. And my life has had a very Arthurian Norse undercarriage to it.
Okay.
When I'm talking about the Mythica, though, what I'm talking about is the undercarriage of
Okay.
everyone's stories. It's the law, it's the world of correspondence.
Hmm.
So it's the idea that I gradually realized that I was made of the stories. Like, if you really want to get into it, like on a magic level, I designed the Mythica as a publishing platform to use the images and the synchronicities and the interviews and the connections to show people the world, to show God's kingdom, the body of God, in the body of the goddess, like the manifest form of reality, right? To the people. For example, there are many beings who have heard what the Christ said,
Hmm.
and they miss a lot of it. Like they miss what you like you heard it. Wait. What did he say? Da, 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 da. And they just hear these other things, and it gets layered by a lot of people's perceptions,
Hmm.
right?
A big problem also is that it's all written in analogies and story forms. So it's up for interpretation. And as with any literature, good literature, though, I mean,
Well, that's the nature of the thing, because it's what allows the mind
your
to get
interpretation.
it. This is why I designed the Mythica the way I did, was to create like a publishing platform that used my actual story, then showed it in like what are they, allegories, but
Mm-hmm.
also but really showed the actual events,
Hmm.
like the photos of the events on my timeline, and then a mythopoetic layer to that that's showing you the deeper layer of what was going on there energetically
Yeah,
in the law of correspondence.
because it's the principle for those who aren't so familiar. We should have touched on this earlier. I'm sorry. I am finally zoned in. My children have been so loud in the next room over that's been very distracting for me. Um, but the court law of correspondence is the as within, so without, as above, so below. And it's the interconnectedness of all of that. And that's how that your inside affects your outside and your environment affects your inside. So when people come to me for help in healing and they don't even know where to start because there's so many avenues to life. I tell them to start with, each person is different, but we've become so we understand the physical and what's around us pretty easily. That makes sense to us. The desk is solid. I can see that the desk is here. It's a flat plane of existence. Okay, it needs to be cleaned, organized, and dusted. And then that cleaned, organized, and sometimes it's easier to focus on the things that you can control in your immediate vicinity, and that affects the inside. So cleaning the desk is also working on healing the trauma or
Without a doubt.
the
Uh,
physical health issues, or, as within, so without. It all reflects. The energy it doesn't have barriers.
It doesn't. And the thing, so what it does is it shifts the tone of the conversation. Not the tone, it shifts the angle in which you're looking at something. See, so in the Mythica, what I realized was that I was born with a certain very deep awareness of the energies. So it was like the X-Men. Yeah, it was like being born with a superpower, like a certain kind, like a telepathic, akashic sense of things in
I
space.
think we all are for the most.
Every, everyone is.
It's just how susceptible is each individual to the rules and regulations laid out by those around them. So some kids are, an adult tells them that's silly, that's make believe, you're not actually hearing that thing, you're not actually seeing that, you're not whatever it is. And a lot of kids are, oh, you're right, it's just my imagination. And then they just start turning away from it. Whereas other kids were like, no, no, I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know what I'm feeling. And, and then they just keep on that. It just, but we all start in that basis of things. And then it's like a muscle, or a joint. If you don't use it, you lose it. You have to
Totally.
get it toned up.
Totally. And so when I realized that it, it's like, imagine that, just to go on the Christian thing, right? Imagine that, so when I studied at the academy, which was in Lake Tahoe, right? And I
Okay.
studied a Lakota fairy tradition, right? And I was led there from New York to Kauai, actually from New York to Costa Rica, Costa Rica to Kauai, Hawaiian Islands, Kauai back to America, right? And from there, I met like the people in the mountains, and this was down in Santa Cruz, in California, right? And then I ended up coming up to like a gathering here where I met this priestess, and then I ended up coming here to Lake Tahoe, where I started at the academy, right? And at the academy, the I was studying to give people tarot and divination, so there was a minister quality to it, right? Past the branding, like the general, like these are different forms on the surface, but
Hmm.
these are all made of the verb.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Preacher, minister, druid, witch, oracle, life coach, branding.
Yeah, it's all the same setup once the good ones anyway. The good
Mm-hmm.
ones all have the same setup. And for example, like martial arts, you start down here in the bottom, and then as you learn, you it's like an unspoken leveling up to where now the coach is saying, "Hey, go show them how to do this thing." So then,
The universe tells you that.
yeah, yeah.
Like the coach is an intermediary for that. Like the coach is saying, "Oh, wait," like there's like an internal gauge. Like if you one of the things, but what we're talking about is the actual game world itself. Like if we were the characters in Lord of the Rings, right? And we were the modern myth of a deeper geometry than we are. This is what it looks like,
Hmm.
right? This is what it looks like on the surface.
Hmm.
But what it is. is much deeper and it's based on the law of correspondence. So it's like so often we want to, like when we talk about the substance of this is about the architecture of things.
Hmm.
It's about the architecture of the creation in a very spiritual way. For me, as a minister, or having that aspect, I'm giving people divinations, right? I'm giving people guidance. This is when I was at the academy. And now I'm contemplating this is a great responsibility
Hmm.
that people are actually listening to me. I'm like helping to guide their life.
Hmm.
Like, this is a real thing. And I was seized by a certain degree of like nobility. I wanted to make sure I was like, what am I talking about? Do I really understand what I'm talking about? Right? And it absolutely is a super spiritual thing. But
Hmm.
it's also the architecture of spirituality. Like when we say, you know, the desk is solid, I would say the thoughts are solid.
Hmm. Yeah, because if you get down to it, nothing's actually solid. Most
And everything is it depend, you know what I'm saying? It's not, and it's also like it has like a like you can you can hold
the stubborn illusion.
right, but you can feel it. Like that's the thing. It's so it's like it's an illusion, but my assertion is that a lot of people don't actually really haven't gained or trained the perspective to really see what illusion means.
Hmm.
Like, and this is really a big thing because when we want to give people like the real Middle Earth. Like I got to, man, I went to school for med. I have all the photos to prove it on my site, right? I went to it, I did it, I summoned the Harry Potter owl in the form of like North, my familiar, trained in the divination, so on and so forth, went off documenting the law of correspondence. I was like, all right, wait. I keep running into people who are like the fairy thing and the Celtic thing. If the law of correspondence is true, then wherever I go, I should run into people with the fairy thing and the Celtic thing.
Hmm.
And I sought out to prove that. And this became a nuanced look at the architectural structure of story vibrationally, like vibrationally,
Hmm.
so that with that solid framework, I could then give people I could share things about the kingdom or the queendom as it may be, right? That would help people to orient on their path. I wanted them to have a better sense of what they're already doing. So when we talk about they need this kind of an example, the other entry point to that conversation for me is they have eyes, but they do not see,
Hmm.
or the scales have fallen from my eyes, like the judgments have fallen from my eye. Now I'm not being, and now you start getting into the yogas because it's architectural, but it relates to perspective. So when I looked at any of this, again, branding, the deeper understanding must be earned in
Hmm.
one's covenant with life,
Hmm.
like for real, right? And that was like the quest for me to bring back the body of God, the body of like here, the goddess, nature. We are made of nature. We
Yeah.
are living, yes, in the substance of our own vibrational reflections, absolutely. But on a bigger level, that's like a raindrop coming down and rippling in the waters of nature herself. And the Mythica became a way of, because it's like, if I say, I want to give you guys the magical world, and I'm saying that I left New York on the hero's journey, yes. I went down to, Costa Rica, then I went to Hawaii, and I did, but, and it's like, and I met all these people as part of a quest in service to discovering that land, to give that to the people. The series of synchronicities that happened for me on my timeline, yeah, right, were the manifestation of the law of correspondence. So I gradually came to see the substance of my soul's journey expressed in the world around me. But the thing about that was things have levels to them.
Hmm.
That was the thing I realized. It was just like, oh my God, we're all in the Mythica all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? People just don't see it. They live on the surface of
Mm-hmm.
perception. And so then I'm just like, how do I give this gift to the people, right? And myself. How do I anchor this? It's so hard to hold that, right? Because
We
the
don't
world,
we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are.
because we are, is the, this is the thing. What are we looking through?
Our own lenses.
Our
Yep.
own lenses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, yeah, as long as we're wearing the glasses, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's like, but then people don't realize what they are. They don't
Mm-hmm.
see the structure of what they are. So you see what I'm saying? Of course,
Well, a
that's
lot
the
of
statement.
people are just so soaked in darkness and despair that they don't see the light yet, you
There
know?
needs to be a new story, man. The language is out. That it's the you're getting fucked at the root.
Yeah. Yeah. That words do word language is so powerful. It truly is. And that's why our cultures are so different. And then once you get into the cultures, you find that they're all more or less trying to explain the same thing. It's just what words, how they use them is how they've developed in that area. For example, we have the English language is a very linear way of speaking. It's A plus B equals C. Whereas in the Eastern languages like Chinese and Japanese, they have a more paradoxical way of speaking. So theirs is A plus B can equal C, but it can equal D, or it could equal F. Who knows? So whereas, and that's given us in the Western world, because again, language creates our mind state and how we perceive the world. So if our language says A plus B equals C, well, that's a very concrete, boxed in, limiting way of thinking. Whereas the Eastern culture sees everything more circular and open. So that's why they've been able to progress spiritually and um, culturally, mentally, community wise, all of the things, because it gives them a more open mind to the deeper layers of what is.
Absolutely, Savannah. I mean, Savannah, Savannah.
Either or, whatever.
Done. You're like what you're talking about is the core of it, and I want to acknowledge that because really understanding that is honoring you. Understanding that is an attainment in and of itself. It's because it's like, how do I, it's like I understand what I understand, right? But what is sung in the space, what you're saying, the gravity of that has a vibration to it, so it affects what I say, and vice versa, you
Yep.
know? Like we're in that. And so this thing with language, that was something I realized very early in the quest. Like I realized also it's comic books actually. I saw that like the comic books, way before it was like super popular now, right? It's just like the languaging of the hieroglyph, of the image plus the word had an effect artistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like the place between a painting and a story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Had an effect on my consciousness. And I saw that the use of that language, like the kanji, right? Like the elemental um, like a language, like that you mentioned the Eastern languages. The Eastern languages are derived from my perspective, from a more embodied relationship with the
Mm-hmm.
elements.
Mm-hmm.
And that in this context, America, which is, a young country,
Mm-hmm.
right, has that quality of, being the genesis point of a lot of new ideas, but also young,
Mm-hmm.
right? The language is can be confining. It's emblematic of.
Well, what's funny about it is that the English language has way more words than the other languages. Uh, Many people who primarily, not primarily, what's the word? Their original language that they know. Okay. See, I can't even find the words.
Well, but the
But
language is the vibe. Like the vibration is the language.
yes, yes. But they can use less words, is what I'm saying, is they like the English language, or the English language is hard to learn, because we have so many words. And other languages don't tend to have as many words. So they like our ability to really describe things more in depth than what they generally can. But also, using too many words can be a problem, and less words leaves the mind to, again, openness and the possibilities of what could be. So people don't need to box things as readily, as securely as we tend to.
I find that language is the heart of magic. You
Yes.
know, whether you're invoking a Reiki symbol and now you're channeling the energies in a certain way through the medium of your consciousness, whether you are, I mean, engaged in like the language of dance, whether you are engaged in the language of reflective affirmations,
Mhm.
everything is a language,
Everything is a
and
language.
everything's a language. And so, how good are we with language? So when we talk about the journey into the Mythica, you're talking about what is the language of the world? Like what is the language of your story?
It's just
And
energy.
how is it's just energy, but what is the language of your energy? Because your energy is very specific. My energy led me on a quest that led me to like, people who were living in the Middle Earth way, like I mean, I have like the wolf and the priestesses and the Jedis and da 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 da. It was a
Mm.
whole world that I encountered, right? But I realized that world was because that was the language of my energy,
Hmm. Like tuning a
right?
radio dial. Is it hard rock or is it soft rock? Is it country? Is it
I'll
Latino?
say it's somewhere in between. It's changing like
Yeah.
storm weather rain, weather rain. It's
Often it's a
crazy.
mix of a lot of them, for sure. That's the beautiful thing about life is that we get to create our own energy. We get to create our own vibe.
It's true. But here's the thing with that. When you look at it in a deep way, that requires coherence.
Yeah.
And the media and the languages and the stuff that we're surrounded by, that
Yeah.
messes with that coherence.
Every bit of it is
Every bit of it.
designed to disrupt, I believe.
So I was like, let me build a media platform made of a truer language
Mm.
and teach people the magic, using my story and other stories as an example to showcase what I had learned about the language of the world in a grounded way. Like people will talk about their timeline, and I'll say, okay, your timeline, as compared to this person's timeline, or this person's timeline, or this person's timeline, and how all those timelines are woven together into a much larger weave of interconnected stories that are
And they may
part.
not even align, even if y'all experienced the things together.
That's the thing. You
Hmm.
might be in a completely different dimension of life.
Yeah. And I make jokes like that all the time. Uh, like, we were over here and we did the thing. And then they're like, we did not do that. I'm like, yeah, we did. Yeah, you did that. I have all the memories. I have like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we did that. And they're like, we didn't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, it must have been a different timeline. Must have been the other Melissa.
Yeah, it's trippy. Like the way we perceive things in the world is like it is its own subjective world.
Yeah, just assume nothing's real. The only things that are real are what you decide are real.
Well, I found that like the phone is real. Like I come from a certain degree of solidity with that. I'm saying like the desk is real. I'm saying like perception is real. I'm saying that the fact that we have glasses that we see things a certain way is real. When we take the glasses off, we put on another pair of glasses. That's a real shift. Like that's really happening.
Hmm.
You know, it's like saying that like life is real. You know, like motherhood is real. Like life and death are real.
Hmm.
They were to define the experience. So when I went looking for like what's the magical world of the Mythica? What's the energies of that? What's the real world? Yes, it's made of vibrations, but it's like, is it a persistent illusion? It depends what you mean by illusion. If you mean illusion in terms of like it's all like, is it solid? It's as solid as you are,
Hmm.
you know? And it's just like, well, it's an illusion. Now, then what I get back to, because I really want to be grounded, right? What I get back to is your food real? Because I'll just take that food, man. Right? Is your wallet real? I'll take that too.
It all both is and is not all at the same time. It's the contrast, the yin and the yang, and reality exists in the in between.
Totally. And so it's like, how do we navigate that in between?
However we like.
How are we what?
However we like.
Totally. How do we make those decisions? Like, how do we know? Like
Hyper
when I
aware,
was, what's that?
hyper awareness and intentions.
It's true. And so for me, what am I being aware of became a huge thing. Huge. It became like, what are the layers to the world? Like I'm meeting you right now, and it looks like this on the surface.
Hmm.
But when I look at you, I can see like a depth of literally exploring the gnosis of reality, right? That's like there's a deeper mythos going on.
Hmm.
Like that it looks like you on the surface of the world. Like you're there, you've got your cats, you've got your like studious nature, you know, you're managing your things, and so on and so forth. That's a mythos. You could be like in the tabernacle, like studying the ancient texts. You know, you could be there like singing with the bull, be like, I will discover the true Gnosticism. I don't think they know what's going on. They've strayed from the path. I'm gonna find out what's really going on. And there's like, that's your mythos. And it's one way of seeing it.
Hmm.
Like, you know, like remember when we were there and you were like the priestess inside the tabernacle and you're like, that didn't happen, but it did.
Yep. Yeah. The Matrix, the timelines, they're all simultaneously happening, and we could really break our brain trying to grasp and hold on to the infinite layers. But, again, let's think about the word infinite and what that actually means. It's ungraspable.
It's ungraspable.
I mean, and to really understand these things, though, you do have to kind of try to grasp at it, and then you'll have a breakthrough that feels like a breakdown. And then, because you have to, from the phoenix from the ashes, you have to make a mess to clean a mess. You have to break it down before you can build it back up. Because we've already built, because we're always doing these things anyway. We're creating our reality every day, all the time, from the moment that we're born. And you get to a certain point, because we all come here kind of like children are more attuned to it, but then we like shape them like clay and put them where we want them, and then
It's
that takes
amazing how many people think they're an artist.
oh, honestly though. Honestly though.
We're gonna shape that like, whoa. Have you ever heard like the idea that like, you know, what was it, Michelangelo? Like he took the clay and he cut away everything that wasn't elephant. But that implies that he saw the elephant inside of the clay, not that he was trying to like make that clay into something from like he just using his trunk.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy to how people can figure out who they are and what their energy and mythos is. And
Right. And that's why I designed it to the Mythica. I have like another 5 minutes before I have to give somebody a ride, right?
Okay.
But it's just like, and that was why I designed into the Mythica, because I was like, I'm living the magical life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing the depth of like the vibrations of the language of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing that there's like a layers to it. Like when we talk about the infinitude of the timeline, I'm saying that here's another way of looking at it. There's an infinite number of nuances to the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're actually looking into the nuance of the timeline itself. It looks like a bunch of different timelines, but they're actually just strands inside of the one thing. And we're looking at different strands of it happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
It's his way of looking at it and saying that, like, so when I traveled all over Gaia, I was realizing that I was traveling through the world of vibrations and I'm documenting it. So then I discovered there was a whole pattern underneath that in the nuance of that language. Of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is the moment that I meet Savannah in time space. It was all about the real. This is when I met Savannah. She didn't even exist in my field before. But
Right.
now, now she's a character. And that revelation, that ongoing revelation was just like, oh, whoa, whoa. And it was like this whole thing of like I'm coming to understand, like, right, this is the purpose of my path. Because what is the line of yeah, okay, I can influence this, and I know this is destined to happen, right? And it's no, I have influence over this, and this. Yeah, but God controls the waves.
Mm-hmm.
Do
But you
you
are
know what I'm?
God.
Because we're God. But then how much grip do you have on the rudder, man? You're like, I'm gonna go in this direction. I'm like, I mean, why? I forgot.
Like,
No, no,
okay,
no,
you
wait,
did
wait, wait, wait,
that.
wait. I'm gonna go in this direction. Wait, no, I forgot. Oh, I got confused. I'm in a storm. I can't remember. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
is there a row? There's no row. Okay. Is there a rudder? What? But there was just the other day. Oh, I wasn't in that reality with you. No, I'm in the reality with no rudder. Okay.
Yep.
What?
Yep. Life is a trip. Being human. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, it's almost like saying being mortal
Mm-hmm.
is where I go with it because I'm like, yeah, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Like, okay, ride that train.
Mm-hmm.
Ride that train all the way. Don't just like sit, oh my God, what a cool train, and not like get on the train. Like when you really see it, like that's why everything's about being mortal.
I think a lot of people are riding the train, screaming and trying to stop it and trying to get off the train while it's still going.
That's part of the ride.
It is, but
Yeah, you
to
know.
get over that, get through that anxiety of being alive, that just, we all
I've
have
dealt with it. Being mortal's
to.
crazy.
It is, and it's hard, but we have to
Yeah,
learn
super
how to
hard.
just be on the train. It's okay.
Yeah, just
Be
be
on the
on the
train.
train.
Enjoy the
Okay,
view.
we're gonna die. Yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, this train
You
is
know,
crashing.
this train
Absolutely
is
it
crashing, man.
is.
Totally. You want another drink?
Yeah.
Let's sing a song, man.
Well, this has been fun. Tell people where they can find you before you have to run.
Oh, Into the Mythica.
Hmm. Right.
Intothemythica.com. So it's just like INTOTHEMYTHICA. I've just gotten back from the quest, right? And I am starting to present a bunch of content on the Instagram, on the site. I'm going to be really showcasing and gradually building out my story and also explaining what I'm saying. Because as I get to engage with spirits like yourself, it reminds me, because I'm like, oh, okay, that just reminded me. Yeah, language is
Hmm.
really, like there's ways of expressing it, but in essence, the Mythica is at intothemythica.com, and we're going to be producing all sorts of media, doing a bunch of podcasts, doing my own podcast, and that, as they say, is that. You have been awesome as well.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for being here and thanks for taking us on this journey.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for what you were mentioning about, the levels of energy and the language of things and sharing a bit about yourself. It actually inspired what I was saying as well. And it couldn't have happened without both of us in the conversation. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
This is what I love to do. I love to talk about these types of things right here.
Totally. Totally, totally, totally. I didn't realize that this was like an official thing. I thought we were just kind of talking, but
No, that's all. That's all it is. It's just us talking.
oh, okay. I'm becoming more aware. So it's like, should I have set up a bit more time?
I mean, it's up to you. It just depends. I have episodes that I let the guest decide how long we talk always. So I have episodes that run 30 minutes and I have episodes that run 2 hours. So I always have all the time, more or less.
I love this so much, because I'm actually like just getting deeper into this, so I'm understanding the mechanics of the world
Hmm.
of the podcasts and stuff like that. And it's just like, all
And each
right.
one of them is completely different. This is just how I run things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't want you or me to have to take time out of our life twice to when we can just show up once and be our real selves. And because I mean, like, what is there to prepare for?
Nothing really. No, I'm totally about that.
Yeah.
I'm totally about that. That's the real,
Hmm.
and it's like it's the witnessing of the real, which is witnessing the train ride. I
Hmm.
would actually like if I wasn't, I mean, my roommate hasn't asked me. She was asking me, I was getting my roommate a lift, right? But it's just like the being on the train, being on the adventure of being human is the thing itself. When we talk about the law of correspondence, we're really talking about the scenery
Hmm.
of the train. When we talk about the screaming as compared to like let's have a drink, we're talking about like the how we're relating with that. What can we do? It's like what actions do we have agency for and what is destined? And it's like, how do we negotiate that and discover the language of that? It's all in the language of the story that we tell ourselves and that we read. So a new media is required, one that speaks a story of empowerment that reminds us not of what we've been, but of what we can be.
Yeah, it's a new world we're creating all together.
Yes. 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 So you have been awesome. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure. What's our follow-up?
I this we're on hiatus for the summer,
Hmm.
but your episode will launch September 29th.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
so that's when we'll let everybody have access to this for free. I'm releasing stuff in the Patreon still. So I'll probably post this in the Patreon today or tomorrow. And then the members in there will be able to watch it immediately. But for everybody else, because that's less work, the Patreon's less work for me. And my kids are home for the summer and there's stuff going on and things happening. The podcast, like to put it out on Spotify and Apple and all of that, takes more background work. So, but anyway, that's
I found something called Transistor,
mhm.
which just publishes everything to a bunch of different channels from one
Yeah,
central
mine
thing.
publishes it all, pushes it out to all of it too, but I still have to put in all of the hashtags and the SEO work and write the description and
Understood.
yeah,
Understood. Well, it has been an honor and a pleasure.
thank you. Same.
Absolutely. Feel free to come check out Into the Mythica on your own as well. And we are changing the world.
All right. Y'all
Take
have a
care.
great day.
Thank you. Thank you.